number 5, this one looks similar to problem number 4. And again, this one is also in that form of quadratic. We have z to the 1/2 power minus 3z to the 1/4 power plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so again, the relationship between these two. If you divide this by 2, you get here. Or if you take this and multiply it by 2, double it, you get this. So the relationship is the same. This is going to be quadratic. We're going to factor. 1, leading coefficient, times 2 will give us 2. Factors of 2, 1 times 2. We have to add to see what they equals 3, and they do. So 2 sets of parentheses. What do you put in the front of both? Okay, so it's the same as that half. You're like splitting up. A half divided by half is going to give you a 4th. So that z to the 4th is the one you're going to be using. Z to the 1/4. The numbers that we found out we use at the back, 1 and 2. First sign tells me my bigger number, so the 2 is going to be negative. Second sign is positive, that tells me they're going to be the same sign, so this is also negative. Set them both equal to 0, I'm going to solve. So we have z to the 1/4 power minus 1 equals 0. Add 1, z to the 1/4 equals positive 1. And then we're going to raise this to the 4th power to get rid of the 4 on the bottom. And then raise 1 to the 4th power. So 1 is just 1 times 1 times 1 4 times. So we get z equals 1. And then over here, z to the 1/4 minus 2 equals 0. Add 2. Z to the 1/4 equals positive 2. We're going to raise this to the 4th power. And then that's going to give us z, and then 2 times itself 4 times. It's not 2 times 4, it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So if you put 8, you're going to get it wrong. That's a common mistake. But 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So we get 16 here. So answer is 1 and 16. Okay, now we're going to look at number 6. Y to the 4th equals 9. Okay, so the way I believe you need to do this one is seeing this as difference of squares. So the difference of squares formula is in your content folder. I'm going to write it here though. A squared minus b squared equals, the factor form is a plus b, and then a minus b. Okay, so we're going to set this equal to 0 because all the quadratics have everything set equal to 0. So I'm going to move this 9 over. So I have y to the 4th power minus 9 equals 0. Now, with properties of exponents, even though that has a 4, that's a power of 2. You need to be able to see that this is squared and 9 is a perfect square. So I'm going to rewrite it so you can see it in this form. We're going to apply difference of squares and then we'll solve it. So I can rewrite y squared using properties of exponents as y squared to the 2nd power, because 2 times 2 is going to give you 4. So you can see that this term is being squared, kind of like my a squared. Minus 9, instead of writing 9, I'm going to write it as 3 squared. So here's your a squared and your b squared. When we factor that using this formula, we're just going to take the squares on the outside off, and then write these two terms, add it, and subtract it together. So this is going to give us, I guess I should put the 0 here, and then I'm going to come down and do that factor form. So I'm going to factor here. So my y squared plus 3, and then y then from here, we're going to set both of these equal to 0 and solve for y. So y squared plus 3 equals 0. And then we have y squared minus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3, negative 3, and then you're going to take the square root. Remember, plus or minus when you take the square root of a number. This will give us y equals positive or negative. Negative under square root becomes an I, and 3 is not a perfect square, so we're going to leave it as square root of 3. So we got two answers. Positive I squared root of 3, negative I squared root of 3, which is just imaginary. Add 3 on this one. Take the square root. Remember, plus or minus, and that gives you y equal positive or negative square root of 3 because it's not a perfect square, and we can't write down all those decimals. So we get 4 answers here. We get I square root of 3.